The warning. In the vastness of the Milky Way, Earth had emerged as a paradox. For centuries, humanity had been viewed by the galactic community as primitive newcomers, technically spacefaring, but barely worth diplomatic consideration. While other species had millennia of interstellar travel behind them, humans had only breached the light-speed barrier 80 years ago. Yet in those 8 decades, Earth had achieved what took most species centuries. Earth's colonies now dotted 12 systems. Their trade networks, while modest, were growing exponentially. Their technological advancement curve was steep enough to raise eyebrows among older civilizations. Most concerning to some was their military, small but disproportionately effective, built on the back of a species whose history was written in conflict. The Galactic Council had classified Earth as a developing power of interest, diplomatic speak for watch them closely. Humans were inventive, adaptable, and carried themselves with an unusual confidence that bordered on arrogance. They were tolerated but not truly welcomed. All this was known to Fleet Commander Zorvan of the Veloran Armada as his ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. The massive warships, 27 in total, formed a perfect attack formation as they began their approach toward the blue planet. Status report, Zorvan commanded, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he studied the tactical display. Earth's detection systems have registered our arrival, Commander, his second replied. Their communications networks show increased activity. They know we're here. Zorvan's scaled skin rippled with satisfaction. Good. Let them scramble. Let them panic. The Veloran Empire had spent centuries expanding through military conquest. Hundreds of worlds had fallen before them, their resources extracted, their populations subjugated. Earth would be no different, a resource-rich world with a population that could provide useful labor. Transmit the standard ultimatum, Zorvan ordered. Across the vastness of space, the message traveled to Earth's governmental headquarters. Surrender completely, submit to Veloran authority, or face total annihilation. It was a message that had broken the will of many civilizations before. The response came quicker than expected. A human woman appeared on the view screen, her dark skin contrasting with the white uniform of Earth's United Defense Force. The insignia on her collar marked her as Admiral Chen, the highest-ranking military officer of Earth. Veloran Fleet, she began, her voice calm and measured. You are approaching sovereign Earth territory with apparent hostile intent. This constitutes an act of war under both Earth and Galactic Council law. We have no quarrel with the Veloran Empire. Turn back now. This is your only warning. Laughter erupted across the Veloran command bridge. Even Zorvan allowed himself a chuckle. The audacity of these humans was almost admirable. Admiral Chen, Zorvan replied, perhaps you misunderstand your situation. The Veloran Armada has conquered civilizations that dwarf yours in both size and technological advancement. You have no defensive capabilities that can withstand our assault. Surrender, and we may be merciful. The Admiral's expression didn't change. You've been warned, Commander. We will take no pleasure in what follows. The transmission ended abruptly. Arrogant to the end, Zorvan mused. Begin the approach. Launch the first wave of fighters. Target their orbital defense platforms first. As the Veloran ships accelerated toward Earth, Zorvan's tactical officer reported something unexpected. Commander, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from Earth's moon. They appear to be powering up some kind of installation. Zorvan dismissed the concern. Likely a monitoring station. Proceed as planned. On Earth, Admiral Chen stood in the Global Defense Command Center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around her, officers and analysts worked with practiced efficiency, their faces illuminated by the glow of displays showing the approaching Veloran fleet. All defense platforms at combat readiness, reported her executive officer. Lunar batteries charged and locked. Colony defense forces on full alert. Civilian evacuation to shelters at 93%. Chen nodded. And Project Prometheus. Ready on your command, Admiral. For decades, humanity had prepared for this moment. While presenting a face of peaceful development to the galaxy, Earth had quietly built its defenses, studying the tactics and technologies of potential threats. The Velerans had been near the top of that list. "Commence Operation Aegis," Chen ordered. Across the solar system, humanity's true defensive capabilities awakened. On the dark side of the moon, massive railgun batteries emerged from concealed bunkers. In the asteroid belt, automated defense platforms that had masqueraded as mining operations revealed weapon systems. From Earth's oceans rose submarines carrying space-capable missiles. The first wave of Veleran fighters screamed toward Earth's orbit, expecting minimal resistance. Instead, they met a coordinated defense that had been rehearsed for years. Earth's smaller but more maneuverable fighters engaged them in complex formations. Orbital defense platforms fired precision salvos. The moon's railguns launched magnetically accelerated projectiles at a fraction of light speed, impossible to dodge once fired. On his command ship, Zorvan watched with growing concern as the first wave of fighters suffered unexpected casualties. "These are not the tactics of a primitive species," his tactical officer observed. "They've prepared for us," Zorvan agreed. "But preparation isn't enough against superior force. Launch the second wave. Move the capital ships into engagement range." The massive Veleran warships advanced, their weapons charging. They had conquered hundreds of worlds with these same tactics. Overwhelming force applied ruthlessly. Earth might have better defenses than anticipated, but the outcome was inevitable. Or so Zorvan believed until the space around his fleet suddenly warped. "Gravitational anomalies detected," his science officer shouted. "Sources unknown." Throughout the formation, invisible forces began to pull at the Veleran ships, disrupting their carefully planned approach. Some vessels were yanked off course, colliding with others. Fighter squadrons found themselves fighting against currents of twisted space that scattered their formations. "Impossible," Zorvan hissed. "They can't have gravitational manipulation technology." But they did. Another secret project, hidden from galactic eyes. Small satellites, virtually undetectable, creating localized gravity wells that tore at the fabric of space around the Veleran fleet. As the Velerans struggled to regroup, Admiral Chen gave her next order: "Deploy the EM pulse platforms." From Earth's atmosphere, dozens of stealthed platforms rose, positioning themselves around the disorganized Veleran fleet. When they activated simultaneously, the electromagnetic pulse was powerful enough to temporarily disable shields and weapons systems across much of the fleet. In the sudden vulnerability, Earth struck. Missiles from the ocean-launched platforms found their targets. Fighters closed in on disabled Veleran vessels, targeting engines and weapon emplacements with surgical precision. Zorvan watched in mounting horror as his supposedly overwhelming force was systematically dismantled by what should have been an inferior opponent. How? He demanded of no one in particular. How could they have developed all this in secret? His tactical officer had no answer. The Velerans had underestimated not just Earth's technology, but their strategic thinking. Every Veleran tactic was being countered by systems specifically designed to exploit their weaknesses. "Commander," his communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth." Admiral Chen's face appeared again on the screen, still composed despite the battle raging around her. "Commander Zorvan, you were warned. What you're experiencing is only a fraction of our defensive capability. We've studied the Veleran Empire for decades. We know your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. This can end now with your withdrawal, or it can escalate. The choice is yours." Zorvan's pride warred with his tactical assessment. His fleet was in disarray, taking heavy losses against an enemy that seemed to anticipate his every move. The logical choice was retreat, to return with a larger force, better intelligence. "This isn't over, Admiral," he snarled. "The Empire doesn't forgive." "Neither does Earth," she replied simply. "Remember that when you consider returning." As the surviving Veleran ships began to disengage, preparing to retreat beyond the Sol system, Admiral Chen turned to her executive officer. "They'll be back," she said. And they won't underestimate us again. No, ma'am, he agreed. But they also won't know about our other contingencies. Chen nodded, watching the tactical display as the Valoran ships fled. Earth had won the first battle in what would likely become a war. But humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, developing technologies in secret, building alliances quietly, distributing their strength across multiple systems so that no single attack could cripple them. The Velorans had ignored humanity's warning, thinking it empty bravado. They would not make that mistake again, but their next mistake might be assuming they now understood what humanity was truly capable of. The Reckoning. The Veloran High Command received Fleet Commander Zorvan's report with stunned silence. Projected in the center of their war chamber was the tactical data from the failed invasion of Earth, statistics and battle footage that defy their understanding of humanity's capabilities. Impossible, Grand Marshal Krev finally said, his voice reverberating through the chamber. These humans concealed their true technological level from our intelligence networks for decades. Not impossible, Zorvan replied, his scales dulled with shame. Deliberate. They knew we were watching. They showed us what they wanted us to see. The implications disturbed the High Command deeply. If humans could deceive the Empire so thoroughly, what other species might be doing the same? But more pressing was the immediate concern. The Veloran Empire had never retreated from conquest. Their reputation for invincibility was crucial to maintaining control over their vast territories. We must respond with overwhelming force, Krev declared. Assemble the Grand Armada. We will crush this human resistance and make an example of Earth. 3 weeks later, the largest battle fleet in Veloran history emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. 200 warships, including 5 dreadnoughts, planet killers capable of reducing Earth's surface to molten slag. This time, there would be no underestimation, no tactical errors. The fleet spread out, maintaining distance from the gravity anomaly generators that had disrupted their previous attack. Advanced countermeasures had been deployed against Earth's electromagnetic pulse weapons. New shield frequencies would resist the specific weapons Earth had revealed. No ultimatum this time. Fleet Admiral Drex ordered from the command dreadnought. Begin the approach. Launch all fighter squadrons. Target their lunar installations first. Deep within Cheyenne Mountain, Admiral Chen watched the massive fleet's approach with grim resignation. As expected, the Velorans had returned with greater numbers and adapted countermeasures. They've adjusted their shields to resist our EM weapons, her science officer reported, and they're maintaining formation outside the range of our gravity manipulators. Chen nodded. They learn quickly. So do we. Activate Neptune Station. In the outer reaches of the solar system, on Neptune's largest moon Triton, a facility that had been disguised as a research outpost revealed its true purpose. Massive particle accelerators, built deep into the moon's crust, powered up. The energy readings were impossible to miss. On the Veloran command ship, alarms blared. Energy spike detected from the outer system. The tactical officer reported. Source appears to be a moon of the gas giant Neptune. Admiral Drex frowned. What kind of energy? Unknown, sir, but it's building rapidly. The answer came moments later as a concentrated beam of exotic particles tore through space from Triton, striking one of the Veloran dreadnoughts. The beam passed through its shields as if they weren't there, cutting the massive ship in half before continuing onward, striking 2 cruisers before dissipating. Chaos erupted on the Veloran command deck. How? Drex demanded. How did their weapons penetrate our shields? The science officer worked frantically. The particles are in a quantum state our shields aren't configured to block. It's technology we've never encountered. Before they could adjust, another beam fired from Triton, destroying a second dreadnought. The Veloran fleet began emergency maneuvers, trying to present smaller targets to the deadly weapon. They can't fire continuously, the tactical officer observed. There's a cooldown period of approximately 7 minutes between shots. Then we use that time, Drex ordered. All ships accelerate to attack velocity. We'll overwhelm them before they can destroy our entire fleet. The Veloran armada surged forward, accepting that they would lose more ships to the mysterious weapon, but confident that their numbers would prevail. 3 more capital ships were destroyed by Triton's particle beam, but the fleet pressed on. As they approached Earth orbit, Admiral Chen activated humanity's next layer of defenses. Deploy the drone swarms. From concealed hangars across the solar system, tens of thousands of autonomous combat drones launched. Each was barely larger than a human hand, with minimal weapons but advanced evasion systems and a single powerful explosive charge. They moved in coordinated patterns, overwhelming the Veloran point defense systems through sheer numbers. The drones targeted shield generators, weapon systems, and propulsion units with precision. They didn't need to destroy ships outright, just disable them component by component. Meanwhile, Earth's more conventional forces engaged the Veloran fighters. Unlike the previous battle, Earth now revealed its full fighter complement. Thousands of craft, many piloted remotely by operators safely ensconced in underground bunkers. Admiral Drex watched with growing horror as his supposedly overwhelming force was slowly picked apart by an enemy that seemed to have an endless array of hidden capabilities. They'd been planning for this specific conflict for years, he realized aloud. Perhaps decades. "Sir," his communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the human command." Admiral Chen's face appeared on the screen, as composed as before despite the larger scale of this engagement. "Admiral Drex, this is your final opportunity. Withdraw your forces from the Sol system or face complete destruction." Drex laughed, though there was little humor in it. "You've shown impressive capabilities, Admiral Chen, but you cannot destroy our entire fleet. We still have 3 dreadnoughts that can reduce your planet to ash. Your secret weapons are impressive, but we both know you can't have that many more surprises." Chen's expression didn't change. "You continue to underestimate humanity's commitment to survival, Admiral." "Very well." The transmission ended. "Maintain the advance," Drex ordered. "Prepare the dreadnoughts for planetary bombardment." But as the Veloran fleet pressed closer to Earth, sensors detected a new anomaly. This time from within the system's star. The sun's surface was showing unusual activity, prominences arcing outward in patterns that couldn't possibly be natural. "Sir," the science officer said, voice wavering, "the humans appear to be manipulating solar plasma." "That's not possible," Drex insisted. "No species has that technology." Yet the evidence was undeniable. Massive streams of solar plasma were being drawn from the sun's surface, accelerated along artificial magnetic pathways directly toward the Veloran fleet. No shields in the galaxy could withstand the heat and radiation of stellar material. "Evasive action," Drex shouted, but it was too late. The solar flare engulfed a quarter of his fleet in searing plasma. Ships vaporized instantly. Others, partially caught in the stream, lost shields and suffered catastrophic hull breaches. "Fall back," Drex ordered. "All ships, emergency retreat." As the surviving Veloran ships turned to flee, human fighters pursued, targeting engines to prevent escape. The dreadnoughts, too massive and slow to evade, were systematically dismantled by concentrated fire from Earth's defense platforms and the persistent drone swarms. Admiral Drex's command ship shuddered as multiple systems failed. He stared at the tactical display in disbelief as his grand armada, the mightiest force the Empire had ever assembled, disintegrated around him. "How?" he whispered. "How could they have developed star manipulation technology without anyone knowing?" The answer came from an unexpected source, his intelligence officer, who had been analyzing data throughout the battle. "Sir, I've been cross-referencing their capabilities with historical records. The technologies they're using, they're not all human in origin." Drex turned. "Explain." "Some of these weapons bear signatures similar to extinct species, civilizations the Empire conquered generations ago. The humans have somehow acquired and adapted technologies from across the galaxy." The realization dawned on Drex. While the Velorans had conquered for resources and territory, humans had quietly gathered knowledge and technology, learning from both allies and enemies. They hadn't needed to develop everything themselves. They'd collected the best innovations from hundreds of species. His ship rocked with another impact. The bridge lights flickered. "Sir, we've lost engines. Life support is failing." Drex closed his four eyes briefly. "Send the surrender signal." Throughout the solar system, the remnants of the once mighty Veloran fleet raised white energy signatures, the universal sign of capitulation. Of the 200 ships that had entered the system, fewer than 30 remained intact, and most of those were crippled. In Cheyenne Mountain, Admiral Chen accepted the surrender with no satisfaction. "Ceasefire," she ordered. "Prepare boarding parties for prisoner processing." Her executive officer studied the tactical display. "It's over, Admiral. We've won." "This battle is over," Chen corrected. "The war may just be beginning." News of the Veloran defeat spread rapidly through galactic communication channels. The impossible had happened. A developing species had not only resisted but decisively defeated one of the galaxy's most feared military powers. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from dozens of species debated the implications. Some voiced concern about human military power. Others suggested formal alliances with this surprisingly capable newcomer. Ambassador Marcus Reed, Earth's representative to the Council, listened to the debates with diplomatic patience before taking the podium. "Distinguished representatives," he began, "today's events have clearly changed perceptions of humanity's place in galactic affairs. Let me be clear about Earth's position. We seek neither conquest nor dominion. We desire peaceful trade and cultural exchange with all species, but we will defend ourselves with absolute commitment when threatened." He paused, making eye contact with the Veloran representative. "The technologies revealed today represent only a fraction of humanity's defensive capabilities. We have spent generations preparing for threats from any direction. We would rather never use these weapons again, but make no mistake, we will if necessary." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had concealed its true capabilities for decades, presenting a humble face while developing technologies that now placed them among the most formidable military powers in the galaxy. In the aftermath, the Veloran Empire was forced to sign an unprecedented peace treaty, including reparations and the release of several subjugated worlds. Their age of uncontested expansion had ended. Earth's status was officially upgraded to major power in Galactic Council records. Trade requests flooded in from species that had previously ignored humanity. Military attaches from dozens of worlds requested tours of Earth's now revealed defense systems. Admiral Chen, watching a Veloran prisoner transport depart Earth orbit, reflected on the price of the victory. Despite their overwhelming success, Earth had lost ships and personnel. Families would mourn. And the galaxy now looked at humanity with new eyes, respectful, but also wary. Was it worth revealing so much of our capability? Her executive officer asked, echoing her thoughts. "We revealed exactly what was necessary," Chen replied. "No more, no less. And what we didn't reveal." Chen's gaze drifted toward Jupiter, where Earth's largest shipyards remained hidden within the gas giant's storms, constructing vessels with technologies even more advanced than those displayed today. "Let's hope we never need to reveal that," she said quietly. "The best victories are the battles never fought." Across the galaxy, species that had dismissed humanity reassessed their understanding of the newcomers. They had ignored humanity's warning once. None would make that mistake again.